When you think of a lighthouse, you probably picture this beautiful, solitary tower against a stormy sea. And you're not wrong, but there's so much more than that. They're these profound symbols, standing right on the edge of our world, where the solid ground we know meets the vast, mysterious unknown. So today, we're going to dive into their incredible story.
I mean, that quote just says it all, doesn't it? It perfectly captures the space that lighthouses occupy. They're literally guardians of a threshold, a frontier, where our courage has to face the wildness of nature, and where a simple beam of light becomes a language of survival and of hope.
Okay, so where did this all begin? Well, our story doesn't start with these grand stone towers. Nope. It starts with the most basic, most primal element there is, fire. We're going way back to the very first human beacons. Just try to picture it. Before any grand architecture, there was just fire. Simple coastal bonfires lit on top of cliffs. These were the first whispers of guidance in the dark, a kind of primitive language that said, danger here, but also, welcome home, all against the sea that was just this vast, terrifying, unknowable thing.
And then, humanity took an absolutely incredible leap forward. The Pharos of Alexandria. This wasn't just a bigger bonfire, it was a massive statement. It was a symbol of human ambition, of our desire to impose order on chaos. It was even called the first metaphysical machine. I mean, think about that. It was a machine built not just to guide ships, but to bridge our mortal world with the heavens, turning a simple flame into a shining beacon of civilization itself.
So as we move forward in time, the purpose of the lighthouse starts to get a little deeper, a little more spiritual. It stopped being just about the building, and it became about the person inside. This is where the job of the keeper evolves into something truly sacred.
Right. So in the medieval world, who do you think took on this lonely, demanding task? Often, it was monastic keepers. And their solitude, their sheer devotion, it transformed the lighthouse into what you'd call a liminal space, a place that's not quite on land, not quite at sea. It became more than a job. Keeping that flame alive was a ritual.
And this idea, this spirit, came to be known as vigilance as devotion. The nuts and bolts work of cleaning the lamps and trimming the wicks, all of that was elevated. It became a sacred duty. The keeper wasn't just a technician anymore. They were the guardian of a sacred flame, a living, breathing symbol of hope in the dark.
And if you want to see a living monument to this idea, look no further than the Tower of Hercules. This is a Roman-era lighthouse in Spain, and get this, it's been in operation for nearly 2,000 years. 2 millennia. It's just an incredible, enduring testament to the power of that vigilance.
But, devotion alone can only get you so far. The story of the lighthouse is also a story of incredible technological revolution. This is where human ingenuity really kicks into high gear.
You can really see the journey on this timeline. I mean, we go from those primitive fires all the way to monumental structures like the Pharos. Then you get engineering marvels like the Eddystone Lighthouse, which was famously built on this impossible, treacherous reef. And all of that paved the way for a real game changer in the 19th century.
And that game changer was the Fresnel lens. Honestly, this thing was a miracle of optical engineering. It looked like a giant, beautiful beehive made of glass. And what it did was take all this scattered, wasted light from a single flame, and through these brilliant concentric rings, focus it into powerful, tight beams that could slice through the darkness farther than anyone thought possible. This is where pure science and artistry just came together perfectly.
But behind all the incredible technology, behind the gears and the glass, there were always people, the solitary, dedicated figures who actually lived and worked inside these towers.
Can you even imagine the life of a keeper? It was a life of profound isolation. You're living literally between silence and storm. And a lot of them kept these incredibly detailed diaries. But they weren't just weather logs, They were chronicles of their own resolve, their own inner lives, all written in the language of wind and waves.
And that kind of extreme isolation, well, sometimes it led to some really haunting mysteries. Take the Flannan Isles in the year 1900. There's a remote lighthouse out there, and 3 keepers were on duty. And then, one day, they were just gone.
3 men just vanished, without a trace. To this day, it's a mystery that has never really been solved. And that story, it just highlights how much these keepers lived on the absolute edge of reality, in a place where the line between the natural world and maybe the supernatural could get pretty blurred.
This wasn't usually a job you just applied for. For so many, it was a family calling. It was a generational legacy. The duty of the keeper was passed down from parent to child,
a lineage of watchfulness. These families were the true human heart of the lighthouse, a quiet, resilient line of defense against the darkness.
So what does all this mean for us today? I mean, most lighthouses are automated now, so what's left? Well, what's left is this incredibly powerful symbolism. Let's explore that.
What's so amazing is that the lighthouse is a universal symbol. It's an archetype that bridges different worlds and different languages. It doesn't matter if you call it a lighthouse in English or a faro in Spanish. The meaning, the feeling, it just resonates across cultures. It's always a guardian, always a symbol of hope and resilience.
And in our modern world, the lighthouse has become this incredible metaphor for our own lives, right? It's a symbol of resilience against whatever darkness we face. It's an anchor for us in that emotional space between fear and hope. It's a monument to the human spirit's absolute refusal to be swallowed by the unknown. And maybe most importantly, it's a metaphor for that inner guidance, that inner light we all need to find to navigate our own personal storms.
So ultimately, the lighthouse, the faro, it's so much more than stone and light. It's a story. It's a story about human courage, about our long, complicated relationship with mystery, and it's a beacon that calls to every single one of us, inviting us to face our own unknown, whatever that may be, with strength and with grace.
So as we wrap this up, I want to leave you with this question, just something to think about. In the face of your own storms, your own vast unknowable sea, what light will you carry?